for the Extra Innings podcast presented by the Seattle Times. Your host is Seattle Mariners beat writer Ryan Divish. This semi-weekly / monthly / whenever he gets around to it podcast talks about the Mariners, Major League Baseball, food, and whatever else Ryan and his guests decide to talk about. And now, here's your host, Ryan Divish.
All right, Extra Innings podcast is back. Sorry about the hiatus. Start of the season, just kind of got going, and I had planned to do one on Friday, and I just was not in a good headspace. Larry and I discussed it a little bit, but I just wasn't in a good headspace to talk about Mariners or baseball or any of that stuff. And so we decided to wait until this weekend is over with, and also just kind of see what the reaction was from the fans about the Astros and all that kind of stuff. So I do apologize about the delay in between. We'll try not to do it again, but like I said, I just wasn't a good time for me to be talking in no microphone. And so we'll do it now. I also apologize for how I sound. Look, I know I sound congested. Larry mentions it on the interview. I'm dealing with some horrible tree pollen allergies. I know I tweeted it out asking for recommendations, and I appreciate everybody who sent any of those in. For whatever reason, it just kicks my ass, and it's gotten worse the last few years, and I'd never really dealt with this. I had some pollen allergies, even in Montana where there are quite a bit of trees, but out here, the amount is just next level. I know that Rex Chapman tweet where I was like, that one tree gets hit and all that pollen comes off. That's what I feel like every day. I feel like that tree's next to my house every day. So I've been dealing with that too. So I've been feeling great, and I sound funny, and it's been not a fun few days. It's gorgeous out and everything, but that means the pollen's out, so that's no fun. So anyways, we will be a little bit more regular about doing this. Larry and I, this is Monday afternoon. Larry and I had about an hour-long conversation just talking about the start of the season for the Mariners and how well they played and some of the stuff. We get into all the details. We talk about the Paxton injury and everything else. So I'm not going to waste any more time just like apologizing for not doing this stuff or my voice or just getting into the details of all of our discussions. You'll hear it. We talk just about the start, what we're seeing, the injuries to Pax, obviously talk about Jerry Kelnick and Logan Gilbert, that kind of stuff as well. So let's just get to Larry and start the show. All right, the podcast is back. Larry Stone from his palatial estate in Bellevue, and me here in Tacoma, where they're putting in a new apartment building next to me. So if you hear noises outside, they're doing some work. So just for you to know. And yes, I sound terrible because tree pollen in my neighborhood is awful. I didn't know I had tree pollen allergies till I moved to the state of Washington, and it just kills me every time this year. Normally, when we get to go on the roads, Tony, I can get a break from that. This upcoming road trip for the Mariners will be in Boston, which has some vegetation, but downtown Houston, not a tree pollen problem down there, So, so just bear with me. Larry, I'm covering a first place team. What the hell is going on with the Seattle Mariners right now?
Yeah, I assume you're already planning your postseason playoff tab special section that we're going to do.
Well, yeah, I'm still negotiating the word count for the main story yet, but I'm thinking on doing it on they have a playoff drought, I believe, ending the playoff drought. I think that would be the main story, wouldn't it?
I believe so. I believe that would be the lead.
I don't know how many people are aware of the playoff drought, but there are some, but
well, I have one thing that I keep saying when people start mentioning the record and first place and all of that. 13-2.
Yes.
In a what turned out to be a 94 loss season just 2 years ago. We've been seduced into thinking that the team has turned the corner before by early season fast starts. So I'm reserving judgment. There's a lot of things to like. There's a lot of warning signs, I think, as well. But in general, they're playing good teams too. It's not like they're beating up on weak teams. Only the Orioles really.
Well, they were playing half an Astros team.
Half an Astros team.
Half Astros? Half Astros?
They were half Astros.
I'm such a child.
You look at the Giants, they're off to a really good start after the Mariners beat them 2-1. The White Sox are going to be a good team. They're the one team that beat the Mariners in the series. But anyway, yeah, you can't help but be impressed, but particularly by the comebacks and by the bullpen, which has been the key for me.
I haven't looked at the run differential. It's a negative run differential, though, right?
Yes. It was before yesterday, and I'm not sure if it still is. It was really interesting to look at it. The Astros were in fourth place with a positive run differential, and the Mariners were in first place with a negative run differential.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, obviously the 13-2 year. That 13-2 year, I remember because we joke about it. Like the news side of our paper, like they're not diehard Mariners fans per se. There are a couple people that are diehard Mariners fans because I'll talk to them, but like for the most part, they're kind of just, when the Mariners are really good, that's when they kind of start paying attention. And so when they went 13-2 that year is when the news side people and the kind of, hey, maybe we got something, or maybe we should do some takeouts on this hot start. And I was kind of like, and I'll give credit to our my former boss Alex, who thinks I probably never give him credit, but I'll give him credit. Like he kind of like kept me away from that because like I wouldn't have handled that well. I know you're stunned by this, Larry, but just the idea that like authority, but just like the idea that hey, slow down. It's 15 games, and again, are we at 15? Is that 16 games now? 10-6? Yeah. And then I think they went 8-24 or something like that over the next set, but. In that year, the 13-2, I mean, you could see the holes in it because they were scoring like 8 runs a game while averaging like 3 errors per game. I mean, like it was, that was obviously unsustainable. This team that's at 10-6 now doesn't quite look that bad though. Like there aren't that many, like the red flags are there, but not as glaring as that 13-2 team, don't you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. And the other thing that like points to the positive direction is they're doing this without Kyle Lewis, one of their top players, who is going to be back, maybe tonight or tomorrow. And at some point,
no. At
some point soon, we're going to get that outfielder whose name escapes me. It doesn't escape me, but Jared Kelnick.
No, I thought you were talking about Dylan Thomas.
Dylan, well, they need to get Dylan more. Speaking of Dylan, they need to get him above 140. Yeah. But they're doing this with an offense that has been carried almost exclusively by Mitch Haniger, Ty France, and Kyle Seager. The top 3 guys have done most of the production. They haven't got much of anything below that, and that they're going to have to lengthen the lineup, as they say, and that will certainly happen when Kyle Lewis comes back. And if you can get a jolt at some point from someone like Kelnick, then suddenly things are looking a lot better in the lineup, and it'll take a lot of pressure, I think, off. Evan White shouldn't ever hit cleanup at this stage of his career, I don't think. And I think if you put him down 6 or 7 and take a little bit of the heat off him, I think he's starting to hit a little bit. He's actually over 200, which for him is an accomplishment and heading in the right direction.
Yeah. I'm trying to call up the stats here, but yeah, it doesn't feel as phony as it did in 2019. Like 2019, they were starting Tim Beckham at shortstop. He had a couple grand slams. Like he was hitting, and he could always hit a little bit, but like you just knew it was unsustainable because they were scoring just a ridiculous amount of runs, like Vogel Snacks and Jay Bruce and Edwin Encarnacion. They were hitting, they couldn't field. They were making all these mistakes, and you've been around it long enough. You think, okay, this is not possible. And so you're like, okay, this one, like, I think the pitching's been okay, for the most part. I think the bullpen has been better than I thought. And yeah, the offense is unsustainable, but yeah, you're right. Like Kyle Lewis may be back today, and yes, Kelnick and everything like that. Any other, like, what are your, okay, like, so what do you think is been the key to the success for them?
Well, I go to the bullpen. I mean, we going into this season, you and I have talked a lot about how, it was definitely their undoing last year, one of their undoings, and we didn't know if how much better it was going to be. And I'm looking up the stats now. They have a 2.93 bullpen ERA, which is sixth in baseball and fifth in the American League. Opponents are hitting 184, which is the lowest of all 30 teams. So they're doing the best job of any bullpen of getting people out. So, that's didn't see that coming. Graveman, of course, has been spectacular. Montero has blown a couple of saves, but I think you could see the potential there to be a lockdown kind of guy. Middleton seems to have straightened things out. Sadler looks good. Vest has been incredible, a Rule 5 guy who I think he's pitched more innings than anyone out there in the bullpen and has a 0.96 ERA. So that has been key. I mean, each of the starters has had good and bad outings. So the jury is still out there, but I think there's been some encouraging signs that it could be a pretty good rotation, although now injuries, Paxton's lost for the season. Margevicius, I'm not sure if I share Scott Service's optimism. If you take a guy out with a tired arm and you're not concerned and you think he'll make his next start, I just have my doubts about that. That's, can you just come right back from that?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. But so, there could be a depth problem there. Although I thought that Newsom looked great when he came in the other day. But, these six starters is a lot of starters, and you need some depth because there's going to be injuries. And I don't think, last I checked, Logan Gilbert worked one inning in his minor league start. So
yeah, he's not coming up soon, people.
Yeah. So don't think that's the answer. And I'm not sure who else down there is ready to step in and take some starting innings. Is there anybody?
No. Yachabonis, Robert Duggar. So yeah, here I'm looking. Let's go back to the offense real quick, and then we'll kind of go evaluate. So I'm looking at the runs scored. The Mariners have scored 70 runs total on the season. Kyle Seager, Mitch Haniger, and Ty France have scored 29 of those runs. They have how many RBIs? 30. They have 68 RBIs. Those guys are responsible for 36 of the RBIs. And of the 17 homers, those guys are responsible for 9 of the homers. So, I mean, it's like the amount of production they're getting from those 3 guys. Now, that's another thing. Let's go look here. Taylor Trammell, he has a 152 batting average. Larry, in 54 plate appearances, he's walked 8 times, but he's struck out 23 times. Yeah. And some of them strikeouts not super competitive. If I would think you would agree with me there.
Yeah, and he's got 7 hits, and 2 of them are dribblers, swinging bunts that he beat out. So 5 legitimate hits. He's just, again, a world of talent, a world of potential, but he's just not ready. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens when Lewis comes back.
Yeah. Dylan Moore.
He'll slide into center, but who's going to play left?
Yeah.
And at what point, how soon? That's going to become the burning question, is how soon do you bring Kelnick up? All the free agency ramifications, service time issues are behind them now. He's past the threshold. They could bring him up any time now.
Okay. Dylan Moore, 128, 236, 255 slash line not to be too inside baseball is batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage. 128, 236, 255. That's awful. 19 strikeouts in 55 plate appearances. This is an everyday player. That's worse again than Evan White was last year. This is a guy I mean, and now we're 16 games in, but I don't remember what point last year where they gave up on Shed Long. I think it was about 25 games in. And granted, well, that's a 60 game season, but they just throw him high fastballs in the zone. He can't catch up with it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
this is an everyday player. And I
Well,
think
if
I think you and I both said when they just handed him the job this offseason, we both had a raised eyebrow, like, really? Based on that?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, the competition never materialized because Shed Long has been hurt all year,
And he's still hurt.
And he's still hurt. If I were Shed, I would I would hurry up and get back because there's a job there to be won back.
Yeah.
You know, if he can get healthy again, he might become a factor again.
So that's not good. Tom Murphy, Larry, 138, 194, 241 slash line. And now he's played limited. Like, Service has basically played Terens more than Murphy because Murphy's looked so awful at the plate. I mean, just like, he hit the homer the other day and you thought maybe he's coming out of it, but his timing just does not look great whatsoever. Yeah. What do you do with him? You got to keep playing him. Cal Raleigh's not ready, and he hasn't played in games. He's only at the alt side playing, I think. No, he's not even at the alt side. I think he's down in Tacoma or down in Arizona playing in minor league games. I think they have Jose Godoy waiting for Godoy.
Why? Do you know why they're not playing? It doesn't seem like they're playing AAA games down there. It's
because all the AAA, all the AAA players are at the alt sites.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I mean, I think just keep an eye on Raleigh long term, though. I mean,
yeah.
At some point, you'd think that he'll get a shot this year.
Well, he's 24. I mean, like, it's got to happen now eventually. They've said he's going to be up at some point. Usually, if like there would have been an injury to Murphy or Terens, but like, you know, Tom Murphy's 30, and he's, you know, and I know he had the great year, but again, like, it was like with the left-handed pitching. I mean, that's what he, you know, he's having a face right-handed pitching, I think, and he just wasn't playing well coming out. Dude, when they have that lineup out there, when they have Haggerty and and Haggerty and Moore in the outfield, you know, and oh man, that's really not a good lineup.
Well, even Trammell, I mean, you look at the line, the averages, which you're going through, but they're just, you know, even Terens is hitting 231. Yeah, but it's, you know, 282 slugging percentage. He's got 2 extra base hits. JP Crawford has 1 extra base hit.
Yeah, you're suddenly missing the walks of Jake Fraley now. And I mean, like,
Fraley,
and he's not even close to coming back.
No, I was going to say he's got one of the oddest slash lines you'll ever see. 100, 526, 200. He's got 10 at bats, but 8 plus 8 walks.
That's freaking crazy. And I think he's been hit by a pitch once too. Yeah. So like they have Kelnick down there. Obviously he's help. I mean, like, he's help. And let's get into this before we even. Kyle Lewis coming back today or tomorrow. I thought today, I don't know what the delay is. I wonder if they're messing around with a 40-man and trying to put somebody through waivers, though I don't think the 40-man is full, obviously. But because I do think if I'm Braden Bishop, I'd be worried, like, when they do have to bring Kelnick up and they have to make a 40-man move, because he'll clear waivers. I mean, like, you know, he just really looks overwhelmed right now at the plate. He's never been the same since he hurt his spleen or ruptured his spleen, which the Mariners didn't really diagnose properly initially. So when Kyle Lewis comes up today or tomorrow, do you send Trammell down and play Marmoleos in left field, who gives you, like, I mean, it's not a great slash line either. He does got 324 on base and a little bit of slug, and he's terrible defensively, but you could leave Bishop up there to be your late innings guy or whatever and send Trammell down to the alt side. Or since there's not really games going on, like if there was a normal AAA season, I think you would send Trammell down there just to swing and get his confidence back. But for now, do you just keep Trammell up, and then if you decide to go to Kelnick here in 2 weeks or so, then you send him down, or what do you do?
Well, can you send him down and just have him play in minor league games so we can get at bats? You know, for the AA team that's playing, can they do that?
I guess you could just option it, but it's like Could you option him to Double A and then send him to Arizona? Maybe. He would have to sit out 3 days because he gets on a commercial flight for intake testing. But then again, like if something were to happen to an outfielder and you need somebody from the alt site, then you'd have to create a 40-man spot too. That's the problem with not having the minor league season. I mean, like, honestly, and I service time manipulation or not, like it'd be a hell of a lot easier had the minor league season started on April 6th and Kelenics played 10 games, and then you could say yes or no. Like if he's only hitting like 260, you're like, oh no, we could use about maybe 50 more PAs down there. But if he's tearing it up and you're like, well, Tramel's struggling, that's where this whole thing is hosed a lot of people. And like I've heard grumblings too that they didn't feel like MLB was doing this out of safety. Granted, you have the commercial flights and we've seen like goofiness with COVID testing now and stuff, but they really felt like this was just kind of a middle finger to the players for not delaying the season like they wanted, which is also, we'll get into this, but the whole idea of delaying the season is they thought the vaccines players get vaccinated and be more prevalent. Yeah, that's not happening either. So, so what would you do? Like if you're Jerry Dipoto and you're activating Kyle Lewis today, what do you do? Who do you send down?
I think I probably keep Tramel.
Yeah.
Because he runs into one every once in a while and he's a better fielder than Marmolejos.
Yeah.
You can sit him against tough guys, tough pitchers, but keep throwing them out there, and it's a short amount of time, I think, until Kelenics going to come up, and then at that point he goes down. But if the choice is between Marmolejos or Tramel, it's not much. There's not much to choose between them, so I might go with the glove.
Yeah. Well, I think they'll just send down Bishop, honestly, is what'll happen. But
yeah.
I mean, because he's not even getting to play. They don't even play him against lefties. They play Haggerty instead.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I'm Jerry though right now. Like any player, and we joke about the Philip Irvin quality of this, but if there's a decent player that's older that's been DFA'd, I'm looking at him. I am. I'm looking at veteran players that have major league experience that are stuck in alternate training sites, because like again, if Shed Long isn't close and it doesn't sound like he is, I mean, like, I just don't know how much longer you can go with Dylan Moore as an everyday player if he's not going to hit. Move him back to the utility role, send Sam Haggerty, or you can even send him down, whatever. But you can't. I mean, like that's a everyday spot. You're carrying 5 spots in the order that are striking out at an unbelievable rate and not even putting together good at bats. Say what you want about Evan White, at least the at bats have looked decent lately.
Yeah, well, White is heading in the right direction, but you're right, and that's why I'm not getting overly excited about the start, is because you just can't have an offense that's totally carried by 3 guys, because they're going to hit a skid at some point. They're going to hit a little mini slump, and then you have nothing. Then you have nothing in the offensive production. And that's why someone like Kelenic is so enticing. It's because he offers you the promise of a real potent bat. There's going to probably be an adjustment period, but some guys come up. He's supposed to be a prodigy. He's supposed to be a superstar. So guys like that sometimes come up and hit the ground running and never look back. So, I mean, when do you think? What's a realistic timetable for him now that he's past the service time issue?
I think they're not. I think they'll wait till the middle of May. Unless there's an injury or something. I think now that with Lewis coming back, I think they'll wait till the middle of May. And I don't think it's about the Super 2 threshold, because again, like if Kelenic is half as good as he thinks he's gonna be, you'll have to pay the money in arbitration anyways. You're gonna pay a lot you're willing to pay it if he's that good. So it's like I don't think the Super 2 thing is, because also you never know with the CBA coming up, like they could, that whole thing could go away. So I don't think that's the issue.
Well, Super 2 takes you into June. I mean, that's mid-June.
Yeah, no, I think they'd like to get him at least 5 to 10 games at the AAA level before they called him up. I don't know what kind of competition he's facing down there, and I got to call some of my scout buddies to see if they've seen him down there. The Mariners aren't letting them on the their backfields, so they have to wait till they go to a different one. Because I don't know, because the Mariners have no pro scouts, so they don't have to do. And so it's like, I don't know. It's I like you're right in the sense that he'll struggle. Like, do you see a 4 for 40 from Jared Kelenic with 25 strikeouts? No, I don't see that. I think his approach is too good. I think he understands hitting at a level that, and his swing is just that much better than Trammell. Like, there's just less moving parts. Trammell's got a lot of things going on. The swing and miss has always been there. Kelnic's never been a swing and miss guy. So yeah, I think he's more suited to have success right away and to withstand the slumps more than these other guys. So, yeah. Yeah, probably middle of May. You never know. There's a 3-day, I said there's intake and they got to put him on the 40 man and all that other stuff. So shoot, he could be on a plane right now for all we know. But that, again, like, the Mariners aren't stupid, and the perception of all of this, like calling him up 2 days after the threshold just looks bad when they've already got that. So they may wait it out, and I don't know what he's playing like down there. Honestly, he hasn't texted me back. Jared, if you're listening, text me back. Damn it. I wanted to talk to you for my approach story, get some extra quotes, but I guess I didn't really need to do that. So let's get to go ahead.
Good story, by the way. Really good story.
No comment. Let's get to the rotation really quick. Larry, the worst pitcher in the rotation right now is Marco Gonzalez in terms of numbers. I mean, I know ERA isn't just the numbers, but like, it just doesn't look good. I mean, he looked better the other day, honestly, but it doesn't look like Marco that we've seen. He's not as efficient. He finally started throwing inside and again, that's the Orioles. We're going to find out a little bit more here tomorrow. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on the rotation?
Well, Marco doesn't worry me that much. He's got a track record. He is what he is. He's a guy who doesn't get by on stuff. He gets by on location and changing speeds and guile and all that. And I think he'll be okay. I mean, I think he may have turned it around after that rough first inning. Where was it? Was that Baltimore? Or?
Yeah, he gave up a 2-run bomb.
Yeah, and then locked it down after that. We'll see if that's a turning point. Dunn, I was impressed with the way he came back from that 9-walk outing. And
oh my God, that was painful to watch, dude.
Yeah, it was. But again, I mean, I keep hammering this point, but nobody hits the guy. Yeah. I mean, last year, opponent's average was under 200. Even the game he walked 9, he only gave up 2 hits. And I mean, he's given up 3 hits this year in 9 2/3 innings. So the stuff is there. It's just a matter of the command, and it was pretty impressive. Flexen's had 2 good ones and 1 bad one. And, Kikuchi, I think it's looked pretty good. He can't quite get that. Can't get that just shut down game where 7 scoreless. He looked like he was on the way the other day, and then he kind of faltered. So, and Sheffield, we'll see how he does today, but he came back nicely from a really bad start too. So, like I said, each of them has had like bad ones and good ones, and so the jury is still out. But I think it's a decent rotation. It would be a lot better with the healthy Paxton in there, but that's just not going to be. So that spot is a concern. But all the other guys, have shown enough that there's some reason for optimism there.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to the Paxton thing. That was awful watching him walk off the mound. And I know he didn't think it was as bad, but once you've had a flexor strain as bad as he had last year, you already have damage to your UCL. And my guess is that he didn't tear it all the way, but it was enough to just get the surgery. I know that in the past, and Mariners tried to do it with Charlie Furbush. They tried to do it with a couple other guys where they do the PRP shot, sit out a while. The crap doesn't work. It might work a little bit. It's a Band-Aid, and you've seen guys that have to do it. And then they end up having to have the Tommy John. And all you people on there is, oh, he's fragile, he's soft, whatever. Yeah. I hope you get 4 flat tires on I-5 at rush hour. I mean, don't be an ass. The guy got hurt. I mean, the guy, he doesn't that's one thing. you and I have covered James for a long time. He doesn't want to get hurt. I think
Yeah.
part of it is he's not the most athletic cat in the world. So sometimes fluky injuries happen to him. Like, remember the year he tripped and fell warming up and hurt his wrists?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Lloyd McClendon was going to have a heart attack that year discussing Pax. Remember, oh, I don't want to talk about Pax no more and his injuries. Don't ask me about him. And I'm like, Lloyd, we got to know, is he going on the deal? He's like, Divish, I got a problem. And then, but yeah, and he had that weird finger spray, but like the other stuff, like a back injury is a back injury. Pitchers go through it.
Yeah.
He injured his knee in college and he had residual effect from it. It's like, and then the one year I remember Tom Wassel was like complaining when Paxton took 95 off his pitching forearm and then didn't come out. Him and Brock Heward might be the most fragile quarterback in the history of UW football, complaining that Pax is soft. Like, you take 95, I've been hit by 95. It's an unenjoyable experience. All right. And you just don't come back from that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. This sentiment that it's some sort of character flaw. You're soft, you're weak, you don't want it enough or whatever because you get hurt. I mean, Tommy John's surgery is a torn ligament. I mean, that's not something that you just fight your way through.
No.
Some people just are more injury prone than others. It's just the way it is. And it's not a weakness of any sort. You're right. The people who say that have never been through the pain, would never tolerate the pain that probably Paxton has played through at times in his career. Sometimes you just can't do that.
Yeah, there's, the whole hurt versus injured, but like with pitchers, it's an unnatural motion anyways. And there's a point where even pitching hurt leads to consequences. Look, I know this. I have the scars on my shoulder and I have a knot in my elbow from trying to be the tough guy and pitch through it. Like, I have torn UCL that I didn't get repaired. I have basically no tendon in my elbow. It's a big knot because of trying to pitch through it in college. The one year I pitched, like, it was cold. I was, but you didn't want to be that guy. You always got to take the ball. I was the closer, little fat closer throwing 82. I'm serious. Like, Larry, they used to call my fastball a changeup because I threw so many breaking balls because I had 3 different variations of breaking balls. They had one. I made a 3-inning relief appearance and I threw 67 pitches, 7 fastballs the entire time. The rest is all breaking stuff. Huh?
No, go ahead.
That may be why my elbow was all messed up, but I mean,
I've seen that knot in your elbow. But did you see that Mercedes with the White Sox relieved today in like a 12-3 blowout?
Him and Willens Astudillo, they're like my 2 cousins, man, bodybuild and everything.
And they both have pitched in the last couple of days.
Maybe I better get on the mound again. No, so like the whole Pax thing sucks. Would you, like, if you're, and I don't know that he'd do it, although I think he would. Like, if you're the Mariners, do you say, hey, look, handshake agreement, come back next year, we'll sign you at like $3 million based on your thing, or what?
Well, I would bring him back, but $3 million sounds a little.
Well, I mean, like, I don't,
expensive for a guy who's going to be coming off.
I guess
2 straight lost seasons.
Well, I don't. Is there? Yeah, I guess you can just give him the veteran, or you can just give him the regular minimum. But I mean, like, even if you just like $3 million in incentives is what I'm saying. It's like $1 million.
Like $1 million plus incentives for sure. And I think he wants to be here, and I think, and he's not going to be in hot demand on the market. I mean, there's probably not going to be a huge clamor for his services coming off Tommy John surgery. I don't even know. I mean, will he even be ready for the start of the season?
Oh, no, he wouldn't be ready till like June 1st, probably.
Yeah. I mean, he would be a nice guy to plug into the rotation mid-season if you're, contending team, which they think they'll be. So I would do that. Yeah, I would pursue bringing him back. I wouldn't pin any hopes on him, like, anchoring the rotation or anything like that. He's a bonus if you get something from him. But
yeah, it's like a mid-season trade that you add in, like he comes back healthy. I thought Sheffield, his second, or the outing was in Baltimore. I thought that was much better. Like he threw his changeup a lot. Like I said, I like, obviously, you're right about Dunn. I thought that was better. He got ahead. I'm not necessarily sold on Flexen and Kikuchi. Like, Service comes out and says, "Oh, that was the best Flexen's outing." I was like, he gave up 10 hits, and there was a lot of plus 100 mile per hour hits against a team that had 4 quad A guys playing at the bottom of it. And kudos to Mariners fans for just giving it to poor Alex DeGote, who never even never played a game with the Astros, and they're wearing him out like he's Alex Bregman. That was great. We'll get to that. We'll get to that too. But I just, Flexen is a guy that, like, he's so reliant on command, and I don't like, same with Marco. Marco's left-handed, and then also I think Marco has better command. I think he's just kind of like a number 4 or number 5 guy, or in their rotation number 6 guy. I mean, I guess if you get that, because for a while there, somebody said, "Oh, he could be Aaron Seeley," and I was like, I don't know about that. My boy Aaron.
I'm with you. Yeah, he's command guys. When their command is good, they're real good. But when it's not there, there's no margin for error for guys like that. And I think, a little bit with Marco as well. Yeah. And so I think you're going to have a lot of games where, he'll be really sharp, and there'll be some games where he gets lit up. And I mean, he is good at pitching out of trouble. He did those 10 hits. He minimized the damage pretty well. But yeah, that definitely is an alarming sign. I mean, they've got all these young arms that they are touting, but none of them are really that close to the major leagues, the Hancocks and those guys. They're not going to help them this year. It's, Gilbert, but they're slow building him. I mean, they're clearly aiming for him to make an impact in the second half of the season. Yeah. So they're going to have to do without him. Those guys are just going to have to get him through.
Yeah, I mean, I expect Logan Gilbert to be up June 1st. I think he makes at least 3 to 4 AAA starts, because AAA hitters, they'll make you work a little bit, and that's what they want. They don't want him to come from a spring training game into the big leagues. I don't think that's fair. I think that's bad development if you do that to him anyways. And then Kikuchi, like, it's just so inefficient at times. Like, the reason his pitch count was so good the other night is because the Astros went up and swang at everything, because they saw the reports, and the reports are that, like, Service and these guys have challenged Kikuchi to get ahead in counts at a higher rate than he had been. So he's just pumping in fastballs first pitch, and the Astros had the advanced data, and they're like, well, you're gonna throw a first pitch, or if he misses with first pitch breaking ball, he's coming back with a fastball. So they swung at the first pitch or the second pitch of the at bat, I think 14 times. Yeah. I mean, and so, we'll see. The one thing is, though, like, even when they know his fastball's coming, it's good enough where, like, they don't hit it. Same way, like, Dunn was throwing it the other day at 95. It's the same thing. Like, everybody now knows the Mariners plan, and it's not like it's a complicated plan. Like, everybody tries to get ahead, but these guys are to the point of obsessive about getting that first strike on the first pitch, where maybe they'll gut one, and so you better be looking for it. I mean, like, I think George Springer figured that one out against the Mariners pretty quick. But yeah, I'm not sold. Like, I think it's okay rotation. They don't have a lot of swing and miss guys. I mean, even when Flexen's right, he throws that cutter to get ground balls. We'll see. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not going to sit there and say, like, this Dodgers series is going to be indicative of who the rotation is, in the same way that I don't know that maybe the Orioles or the Astros series says that they're that good or they're that bad. If they get mollywomped today by the Dodgers, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's when they're facing the A's, the Angels, stuff like that.
Well, they start a gauntlet now where they face the Dodgers, the Red Sox, back with the Astros in Houston, then the Angels. Yeah. So that will tell a lot, that stretch right there.
Because the Red Sox are good again, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Verdugo, who was the key to the Betts deal, maybe the Red Sox knew something. They actually, because Verdugo is hitting, and JD Martinez is just insane, and so is Rafael Devers. So
yeah, Devers, I love watching. Devers' swing is awesome.
Yeah. So they got 3, legitimate bats there. And I'm not saying that they should have traded Mookie Betts, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You never trade a Mookie Betts, but, I mean, it looks like they did get some talent in return.
Well, yeah, and, like, Verdugo just didn't have a place in the organization because he wasn't really well liked in the organization from all reports. So, like, it was just good for him to move somewhere else. And, that's not, like, before, like, the Red Sox were terrible last year, so that was a little break. But, they're getting healthier, and So yeah, it'll be interesting, that little stretch, this stretch of games. At the bullpen, Service gonna keep pitching Will Vest this much?
Well, I think he's going to keep pitching him as long as he.
Is there an option that Will Vest by pitching him this much?
I used that tweet 6 weeks ago. Sorry.
When you figure out a Steckenrider pun, then let me know.
I mean, he'll use him until he gives him a reason not to. I think he's winning trust with each outing.
Yeah.
Rule 5 or not Rule 5, if you're getting guys out, and he's got pretty good stuff, I think he'll keep pitching him. That might be a real find in the Rule 5 draft. And then, I mean, who is the closer now? There's a question. I know he'll say, "Oh, we don't have a closer," but it seems to me that Graveman has kind of quietly become the closer.
Yeah, I think he is for now. I think they'll go back and forth with those two eventually, though. I mean, Montero does have closer stuff. Like, I kind of liked how he pitched. He gave up. He just has a tendency to give up a bomb every once in a while in a one-run game. He just makes like that one mistake pitch, and when he leaves the mistake pitch, it's right over the middle where it's just hittable. Whereas like Graveman's stuff is so freaking nasty with the sink on it, like the Trinan style, that that makes it a little bit better. I think Montero's got the better closer mentality because he's so docile on the mound, whereas Graveman is very excitable and he's never really done it before. And then you also don't know what Graveman's like not durability, but bounce back is as well. Yeah. So I think that's another reason why they may kind of go dual closers, because I don't know that Graveman's a guy you can run 3 days in a row. That's what made Diaz special. He could go 3 and it was always good on the third.
Yeah. I mean, now that they're getting a stockpile of some power arms down there, which is what, the formula that has worked for other teams with, Middleton pumping 98 and Graveman and Montero. That's pretty potent down at the end of the game. And then,
Best doesn't pump 97, but he's got kind of that weird arm angle and he's got the really good changeup. Honestly, though, like I was talking about this with somebody, like Vest is really good, but you remember like Brandon Brennan a couple years ago, they got him Rule 5. That first month, he was almost unhittable too. Same kind of profile, pitch profile, good, hard, late moving, sinking fastball, plus the crazy changeup. What happened there is they overused him and he got hurt. And the thing is, with these Rule 5 guys, they're coming usually from maybe AA. Vest was Brandon was at AAA, which made him a little different. Vest has never been above AA, I don't believe. So like, the usage and the leverage can kind of lead to fatigue and burnout. So that's one thing you have to watch. But again, too, like they still have Johan Ramirez at the alternate training site and that Domingo Tapia guy who was pretty good. Yeah. And even like I thought Eric Swanson looked good for the little brief time he was up. Too. So it is, I'll say it's better. Like, I don't know that just based on lack of experience with Graveman and even Montero, like the trust of them being even as good as Diaz was, that, nobody's gonna be as good as Diaz, but even Diaz, he kind of went up, he went set up, then closer, and then was outstanding closer. Like, these guys are just kind of going from boom in. I don't know. But it's a lot better than that one year when they had like those, they didn't have one guy throwing over 95. I think it was Jerry's first year. I was going to go back and do a story on that about how that first year they had like Joel Peralta. And I don't even remember who the hardest throw was in the bullpen. It was like, I don't think it was Yoervis Funky Cole Medina, but there was somebody there that was like 95 was they topped out and they only had like 2 guys that could throw 95. Now all these guys are pumping 98.
Yeah. I mean, that's all around baseball. 98 used to be something you'd marvel at. Now it's, you yawn. Everybody throws 98. Everyone has 5 guys who throw 98. It's amazing. And then you wonder why the major league batting average is 232. I mean, that's the league average right now. Major league average is 232. And the strikeouts are up again, another record pace. So, I mean, the pitchers are so dominant right now, which is why they're going to throw 61 feet 6 inches in the Atlantic League this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What do you think about that?
I haven't read all this stuff on it, but it's crazy. But hey, man, if Theo's going to do it, I trust him.
I've been very intrigued by the idea. I know a lot of people just dismiss it out of hand. They're ruining the game and everything. But I mean, 60 feet 6 inches has stood for over 100 years while players have gotten bigger and stronger and thrown harder. But it's not, sacred that that it should be 60 feet 6 inches, and I think and they're trying it in an independent league. It's not like they're throwing it in the majors. People are getting so upset about it, but why? I like the idea that they're experimenting with this stuff. That's what they should be doing.
Never underestimate people's ability to get mad over like stuff without really having the context of it all.
Yeah. Just look at the comments on any story and get proof of that.
What's crazy, Larry, is I guess they've had 4 7-inning games, but the Mariners only average 306 per game, and it feels like they play the longest games ever.
Yeah. You nailed it though. 1/4 of their games has been 2 innings shorter. That'll lower the average.
Yeah, I mean they're painful to watch. These games take so long, and I don't care what anybody says, like about the whole cord cutting and get younger people involved. I'm sorry, but they ain't gonna want to watch this. It's not for 3. I love baseball. You love baseball. We love baseball. Not to go like all commercial, but this crap it takes too long. It's boring at times. I mean, it just is.
Particularly with. Well, not to go over this again, but particularly when nobody's putting the ball in play, people are striking out or walking or whatever, and it just takes a long time for nothing to happen. Like that one game where Kikuchi looked so good and was getting all those early outs. I remember I bit my tongue because there's a rule in the press box that you never comment about how fast a game is going because you jinx it. So about the first 5 innings took like 45 minutes, and I was going to say, man, this game's going fast. And of course, it was a 3-hour game.
Yeah, and that was with Greinke dealing. Or no, that was Flexen's game. Yeah, so the fastest game we've had, and it was kind of nice. It was Saturday night when I was going to meet our friend Cookie Face at the Emerald, and Alex and Bob at the Emerald Queen for a going away deal. And that was a 2-hour, 36 9-inning game. It felt, and I mean, 236 felt like an hour and a half because it just
that was a 1-0 game with Greinke dealing. That's a game that 10 years ago, 15 years ago would have been an hour and 58 minutes.
Yeah, they played 2 9-inning games under 3 hours. They had this one. They had a 3-hour and 49-minute game against the White Sox. 3 hours, 49 minutes. It was straight 9. The 10-inning game against the Giants went 3:45. They had 3:49, 3:45, 3:45, 3:28, 3:27, 3:23. I'm like,
well, that Dodger Padre game the other day that was so great, and it did go 11 innings, but it pushed 5 hours. I mean, it was still on well past midnight. It is. Yeah, that's. I mean, it used to be not that unusual to have a sub 2-hour game, and I'm not talking about ancient history. I'm talking about within the last 15 years, and that you never see games under 2 hours now. I mean, you're happy if it's under 3 hours. I know a lot of people say that that's something that only sports writers complain about. That fans love the long games and they don't want to. They want to see baseball, but I mean, it would be one thing if you were seeing baseball, but a lot of the time you're not. You're seeing pitching changes. You're seeing guys step out. You're seeing ball 1, ball 2, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. So, and baseball's problem is not the long games; it's the pace of play.
So I liked your column on the fans and the Astros, although. Would the dude with the Oscar the Grouch suit should have showed up on Friday night to help you out a little bit?
I didn't see him. I would have gone and interviewed him. I did talk to a couple of fans.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been better if he'd have been around. The Oscar the Grouch or the guys that Ken Lambert got a picture of, cheater, trash can beater. That was a guy named Adam.
Yeah, there were a lot of clever signs out there, but I mean, I was talking to Chandler Rome, the Houston Chronicle guy, beat writer, and he was saying that it was absolutely vicious in Oakland, and it was from the first introduction pregame till the last pitch. It was nonstop, just mean-spirited booing, and that this was nothing like that.
Yeah, they were cheering guys getting hit and hurt in Oakland.
Yeah, and here, I mean, it kind of petered out in the 6th or 7th inning. At least it did Friday night.
And I mean, also again, as we talked about, Alex Ducote and Chaz McCormick and Ronnie
Right.
Dawson and even Taylor Jones from Kentwood. Like these aren't guys that were part of it. You know, if Bregman and Altuve and Jordan Alvarez are there, yeah, I think the vitriol me is even higher. But
Yeah.
it was, yeah, definitely
Right.
not. It was still cool. Like I thought it was kind of fun. Like, and it's fun because it sounded like 25,000 people in the stadium, but there was only 9, so there was no traffic getting in.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. If there had been 30,000, it would have been different. If those guys were there, the key players, it would have been different. So, I mean, the Astros have gotten every break as far as, I mean, the year when the mood was at the highest level of anger, there were no fans for the season, and it does dissipate a little bit. I know people want to express themselves, but it's just not the same. I don't think intensity a year removed as it would have been last year, and that'll never come back. It'd be interesting to see how this goes after everybody's had their crack at the Astros once, the second time in and the third time in.
Yeah.
Will that still be the same? I think they'll be buoyed, but I'm not sure it'll be at the same level. And I don't know how good the Astros are going to be this year, to be honest. I know we didn't see those 4 key players, but they got a lot of issues on that team.
Oh yeah. Any other thoughts from around baseball? I mean, you mentioned it, that Padres Dodgers thing, that looks like it would be more fun than the old, because I mean, that's kind of like the old Yankees Red Sox. They really hate each other.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I mean, I was at the game Friday night, so I didn't get to see all of it. By the time I got home at about 11:30, it was still going.
Oh, I know.
So I did watch the end of it. But yeah, I mean, that's a true rivalry because those are 2 great teams. Those are 200-win teams.
Yeah.
And who played 19 times in the season, and they're located 2 hours apart. I mean, all the elements for a great rivalry. And it's probably more on the Padres side than the Dodgers side. It usually is with the upstart team. It takes it a little bit more seriously, but the Dodgers were taking it seriously too, and there was nearly a fight in game 1, and then you had Jerks and Profar and Kershaw jawing at each other in game 2. I mean, the intensity was there. I wish it had been on national TV. There's no reason for it not to be on Saturday. That was disappointing. I don't think it was on TV.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And the other thing is like, it's been an issue in the past, but as well as I do, like Dodger fans just invade San Diego because like in the past, San Diego just didn't, it's San Diego. There's a lot of stuff to do, so they didn't get a lot of fans. So then there'd be a ton of Dodgers fans there, and I think that's going to change too. But it's cool. I mean, like that's one of the coolest things around baseball right now is that, and like I said, Yerman Mercedes and Will and Astudillo, my buddies. Anything else that you're liking right now? I mean, Ronald Acuna.
Yeah.
Did you pick him in your MVP thing? I think I picked him.
Did.
Oh my goodness. I should have put money on him to win the MVP. I know he's got an abdominal strain right now, like a slight one. My God.
Yeah.
Now that's a guy that earned that 150 million early extension.
Yeah. You got to look at Tatis, who's really, he had an injury and he's really struggling.
Yeah.
After getting a $400 million contract. Yeah, and my MVP picks were Acuna and Guerrero Jr., who's hitting around 450. So I feel good about those.
Are you smart? Well, I picked that Trout guy, so I still feel pretty confident with how I'm gonna do. Okay, but
well, the 2 things that have struck me so far, I mean the no hitters.
Yeah,
Musgrove, the first one in Padres history, and then Rodon. Who, man, was that agonizing that losing the perfect game in the 9th inning I mean, he had that guy struck out. The pitch was so good that he couldn't react to it.
Yeah.
So nasty. And then that play by Abreu at first base. I mean, that was incredible. But this could be as advanced as the pitching is right now. This might be another year of the no-hitter. I remember I can't remember what year it was. It was a long time ago, but there was like 8 hitters or something like that. So I don't think this will be the last no-hitter we'll see this year.
No, I don't either. He was, it was, well, we saw Rodon
Yeah.
Mariners fans saw Rodon. He was really good. Like, because he was going to go 1-1 that year when he was at North Carolina
Yeah.
State for a lot, and then he had some injury. And this kind of like what happened with Emerson Hancock, just kind of got picked apart, and then he got in, and he had some injury issues, had some mechanical issues, and now he finally got the Tommy John. He had some stuff, and my goodness, I mean, he was filthy when he was here, and he looked like that. Maybe he's for as much talk about like Lance Lynn and Dallas Keuchel and stuff, if Carlos Rodon is this Carlos Rodon, and maybe not even no hitter, but just that good, yikes.
Well, Lance Lynn just went on the DL. I'm not sure why, but that's the kind of that could be a real find for them. But I remember thinking it was a real bad sign for the Mariners that Carlos Rodon was dominating the way he did.
Yeah.
But that looks a lot better in retrospect.
Oh yeah.
The Mariners got 2 hits off of him.
Yeah.
In 5, I think it was 5 innings is all he pitched.
That's cool. I'm trying to think what else I really like right now. Like so. I haven't got
DeGrom. How about that?
I mean, I haven't got to watch as much baseball lately as I want, but it's been kind of fun. We'll see. So, anything else you got to promote? Anything? What are you working on?
I'll be out at the ballpark tomorrow to write about the Mariners.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what. I'll let the game kind of dictate what I write, but I've got the NFL draft coming up. I'm sure we'll be over covering that.
Well, we'll do this a little more regularly. Like I said, I was not in the right mental capacity. I was gonna try and do it on Friday, but I just wasn't in the capacity. And then I know, Larry's, got other stuff besides just wanting to do this podcast, but we'll do it again. So
that's not true. I just sit here pining all day until you called to do the podcast. Yeah, you weren't in a good frame of mind on Friday.
No, pretty much not the whole weekend. So I'm doing better now. I got a run in this morning, so
that's good.
Yeah. All right, man.
Hopefully you'll get to go on the road again soon.
Well, we can get that real quickly. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to get a go. I don't think they're going to open up access because I don't think none of these teams are going to get to 85% vaccination rate.
Some teams already have, but
I don't think they have because it's technically the full vaccination. So they're nobody got the J&J. I think they all got Moderna or Pfizer. So you still 20 days out. And that's like they're getting close. But even the Astros, who had kind of like a team clinic, they didn't. And I don't know if they are there. Well, obviously they got some COVID issues right now. I don't know that the Mariners will get there, honestly. I mean, I wrote that in that story when they had which I thought was kind of cool. Dr. Gupta and Dr. Nemeh come in and talk to them.
Yeah.
I see them on CNN all the time.
Is the issue that some players just don't want to get them? Is that the issue?
Yeah. Don't believe in it, have afraid of it, think it's a conspiracy. So anyways, so if you're a Mariners fan listening to this, I wouldn't bet on 85%. And as much even as because the Mariners technically can't force them to or push it on them. And I think from what I was told, some of the players were upset that the players that Dr. Gupta took a picture of the meeting and that Scott Service talked about it because they want it. A lot of them just don't feel like that's any business of management whatsoever to be in that room at any point. So, I don't know. I just don't know that MLB would open it up like in-person access a ton if, I don't know, maybe if we can show them that, we've been vaccinated, that would allow us access, but then you run that risk again although with the vaccine being available to almost everybody now, then, if riders really want to travel and be having that access, then maybe they should, require it. I don't know. What do you think? You're on the BBWA thing, Larry. You're on the record here. What do you think on that?
It's a tough one. It's a real tough one. I mean, it could be solved if they just have the vaccine. Mm-hmm. And, I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want to get the vaccine, but that's my personal opinion. I guess they can do whatever they want. But to me, it was very liberating. I mean, I'm not fully immune yet. I think it's only been a week, but I've had my second one and looking forward to sort of expanding my horizons now that that I've got this thing, seeing some people that I haven't seen, including my 97-year-old father and you.
Yeah, me.
I've seen you. I've seen you.
But like at a distance, we can't. Like I'm talking about your. I feel like this is like service time manipulation for you. You can't get out. So when is your threshold? So we can go to Jack's and get some barbecue, man.
I know. Yeah, we're getting close. We get close. Although I don't know, it's still gonna be hard to go inside a place.
We'll just go to that Jack's in Algona because they got outdoor seating, got a huge deck. I just got a gift card, so we got to go. Now that Bob really wants to go too. So, I don't know. I mean, like I want to travel. I mean, I need to get some Marriott points built up. I do a little thing to Vegas a couple of times. I'm knocking those things down. I need some Marriott points built up and some miles built up,
Yeah.
And I just really want to go back to doing my job the way it was. Like spring training offered a bit of that. Like the inside stuff. I mean, like we have not legitimately talked to Kyle Lewis since he went on the injured list. Or since he injured his knee. We have not. Right. We've requested it.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many times where in a normal situation, it would be easy to round out a story with a few quotes from people. You just get them, and now you can't do it.
No.
And so it's, it's really hard to give the same depth of coverage.
I will say though, like you can round up all the quotes you want. It doesn't always help you in the long run. So.
No comment.
It's and people ask me all the time, well, what are you hearing on Fairless? Like one, like Scott Service doesn't know all the stuff every day, so like his stuff can be kind of vague, and like okay, so like we have mentioned, but Andres Munoz has not thrown since the setback in spring training, and Scott mentioned it, but even then, like I was like, I'm not sure, so I texted Jerry DePoto to make sure because Jerry knows, and Jerry's like, no, he hasn't thrown. I said, was the setback worse than you think? He said, no. I mean, so that's, but like Scott doesn't have all that information because that's not in his purview of the day-to-day stuff. So yeah, we can't check in on Jake Fraley or Kyle Lewis. We don't know, we don't get there. And we're not going to have clubhouse access anyways. When this year, well, it'll be on the field, but yeah, it is. I mean, we've talked about it before in here. The coverage suffers, and it's not just the stuff that goes in the paper, but it is those off the record conversations, that you have. Like that's what made, spring training so important. And I didn't get it all the time, but like, when I sit down with Kyle Seager for 30 minutes and 20 of it's on the record and 10 we're just talking about stuff, background stuff that's useful. Same with Mitch Haniger, same with Marco, where you get those guys and you can really just talk, and it's not a quote, like they're just talking to you, and you get a better gauge of the team. Like, I mean, like, even like when you were back in the day, like you could just sit and go talk to Boone and he would talk about the team, not on the record, or, some of those guys. And that's important. That provides you the background. And a lot of the times the inspiration for a lot of the stories that are better,
Well, even the manager, even Service.
Yeah.
When you're in the office and you're doing the pregame session and then the reporters go off and everybody leaves and the beat writers stay and you talk frankly about a few things and you find out some details behind the story, but you just can't do that on Zoom. You can't have everybody.
No.
There's no way that he can have confidence that it won't be taken and run with by somebody who doesn't understand sort of the ground rules. So there's a lot of insight and inside stuff that's just not possible in this circumstance.
Quickly, we'll wrap it up. Larry, what are you? They go here. I'm gonna look at the schedule real quick. We need a prediction. So they're doing
13, I think.
What?
I think there's 13 games
in the month.
No, 13 games in this gauntlet of the Dodgers, Red Sox, Astros, and
13 Angels. Games. What do they go over those 13 games?
I'll go 6 and 7.
Damn it, you stole mine. I'll say 5 and 8, but they're in those 8 losses. There's some competitive, tough losses where they're right there, and they just, I think this is a more competitive team.
If they come out of this with any positive